Hello everyone and welcome to another video about DynamoDB, and in particular in this one we want to explore what is the DynamoDB TTL or time to live and how we can use it in our projects. The TTL time to live concept is something that we find a lot in computer science. Think about like cache systems that have time to live on the data, or token based login on the browser which has like a time to live, let's say, of 24 hours for a login. In this case, the DynamoDB TTL works pretty much the same and allows items removal based on an attribute value. This means that you can specify an attribute for the items on the DynamoDB table, and the timestamp should state the time after which the item should be deleted. What Dynamo is going to do, Dynamo will periodically review your table and delete items that have your TTL attribute set to a time before the current time. The time has to be specified in epoch time, seconds, so it can't be in any other format, otherwise it will not work. And also the type of the attribute has to be number type. So if you specify a string as the TTL, Dynamo will just ignore it. Very important. The feature is free of charge, so you don't pay any write capacity when you delete the item. And one nice feature about TTL is that you don't need to use it in for all the items. So for example, let's say you have a table with users as we have here in the example, and you want to specify TTL just for a few items or a subset of items. You can do that, and for all the other items that you don't want to delete, basically based on the TTL, you just avoid specifying the TTL attribute on the item, and Dynamo will not consider it. One important thing to consider when you design the table and when you design how to use the time to live feature is that the delete can take up to 48 hours. So depending of course of the table size, the delete can take up to 48 hours. Usually takes like a few seconds, but you can't rely on that. So if you have like your server and business logic that is relying to the delete within, let's say, a few seconds, using the TTL is not a good idea. But we will see how we can actually migrate this limitation using FilterExpression on the query. Before doing that though, what I want to show you is that once you have a deleted item, maybe you want, like store the stale data somewhere, or you want to do some actions, take some actions based on the deletion of the item. You can do that using DynamoDB streams. I did a video about DynamoDB streams, I'm going to link in the description, but the idea here is that every time there is a deletion based on the TTL, the deletion of the item is called by the DynamoDB streams as a delete item. So you can process the delete as it will be a normal delete on DynamoDB table. Let's see an example of that. So every time that you enable DynamoDB streams and there is deletion based on the TTL attribute, the streams will send an event to trigger. In this case, I'm going to use another AWS Lambda, and it's going to be a delete item action, right? So the Lambda function will catch the deletion of the item, and based on that you can decide to, for example, save the data into a data lake or to S3 as well, and then post-processing the data for, I don't know, maybe regulation, or just you want to save it on S3 for your application. Okay, here I want to show you how to reduce the limitation of the 48 hours deletion time for the time to live feature. And the idea here, let's say we have a query for the active users, right? And we have a TTL specified on the user item. So since TTL can take up to 48 hours to delete the item and delete the old user, let's say, or the old user token, depending on your use case, one thing we can do when we query the users table is actually filter the users who has time to live before the date now. So if I query my users table now and have stale users that have not been cancelled by the TTL because it's taking, let's say, more than 1 hour, I can use this filter expression on the query and say if TTL is before the time now, so if the TTL is expired, just filter the users with this value. In this way, even though the item is available on the DynamoDB table, we are filtering the old users. And it is very important because it's migrating the problem with the 48 hours window of the TTL deletion. This is the AWS dashboard. I go to the users table. As you can see, the time to live is disabled right now. So let's add like an item. The structure of the table is very simple, just with partition key. I'm gonna add like an email, enrico@enrico.com, and then we're gonna add an attribute which will be the TTL. So remember, there has to be a number type, otherwise it doesn't work. So it's TTL, and then I need to add an epoch time. I will use this website. I'm gonna get the epoch time of now, so today, and I copy that into the TTL field. I save the item. The next step is to actually enable the TTL on DynamoDB, and I do that going on the overview tab, manage TTL. You can select the attribute where you want to run the TTL. You can actually see a preview of which items are going to be deleted when once you enable the TTL on the table. So click continue, and now the TTL is enabled. It can take a few seconds to get activated, but then there you go, it worked. And we can see that, we can get like a confirmation of that. If we go on the metrics tab, TTL, we will see there is like one item that has been cancelled. There you go, you see the spike with one, and that's the item that's been cancelled by the TTL. Okay guys, thanks for watching, and let me know if you have any question on the comments. Cheers.